as to what should be the typical price of implementation, right? In fact, in ERP, this is the only measure, right? In the proprietary ERP, there are two to three components, right? First is, of course, the license cost, and then the other is the implementation cost, and third is the hosting charge, right? These are the three factors of charging. But in ERPNext, since the license cost is not there, then this becomes the only significant factor. And hosting, of course, hosting depends on your data and all that. So this becomes a major cost factor. Now, you need to really understand the importance of, or rather why the implementation is such an important process, right? In fact, my experience and many of the users have experienced that implementation is as important, if not more, than even the ERP. Okay, I'll explain. So, ERP as a platform, of course, needs to be very powerful. It needs to be growing. It needs to be supported by the OEM or the manufacturer or the creator of that ERP. But implementation can, or rather is the factor which delivers the experience that the end users get in their day-to-day usage, right? Coming to your second part of the question, that is, why is there so much of variance in the entire costing of implementation cost, that is, right? I explained my method, right? Now, there are two approaches, right? One approach is the business starts using the ERP in a plain vanilla fashion, right? That is without any customization. Yes, the configurations and all that are done. That is making layouts and all those, trainings, layouts and all that, that is done, right? Using the vanilla itself, right? And after a certain amount of maturity in the usage with the users and all that, then they decide as to what do they really need to customize, right? So minor customizations like maybe including a few fields and all that is okay, is part of that standard vanilla implementation. But our experience, this is a very theoretically ideal situation, and that is where most of the implementing partners, they suggest that you go for this method, right? And for this, the cost of 2 to 3 lakhs is a fairly reasonable cost and a very decent cost. This works very well in the case of simple businesses like maybe just a trading company where there are not many huge amount of complexities in the process and all that. So the plain vanilla fitting is quite okay, and there is nothing much that needs to be done, right? And in that case, simple training and configuration and customization, layout, designing and all that is good enough, right? And that, yes, typically this will be around 2 to 3 lakhs, good enough, right? Now, contrast this with a complex manufacturing organization, right? Now, in this, implementing the ERP is more of a change management. Now, since the business is complex, manufacturing can never be made universal, right? So, manufacturing of one domain is hugely different from manufacturing of other domain. Even in the same domain, based on the scale or based on the business model meaning, make to order and make to stock, the scales, all that decide as to what exactly the process of manufacturing would be, right? And if the process changes, then obviously the ERP, the data capturing, the entire flow has to be different, right? There is no universal method or process for any two different manufacturing organizations. We have in fact even observed that even two brothers, when they have split, they were having common manufacturing processes, they were having everything same, but when two brothers decided to go ahead, the entire process gets morphed into the mind of the actual controllers now, right? Thus, first of all, one size fits all is never ever possible in any manufacturing situation in the ERP implementation, right? I believe that unless and until the ERP processes, right, are made smooth using automations and lot of back end customizations, right, the acceptability by the end users is almost non-existent. So this is one very strong area which require huge customization. So the entire, I would say, the manufacturing process, to a good extent the sales process, and maybe some specific processes specific to that industry. These are the three main areas which cannot do without extensive customizations and automations, right? And we specifically believe that the success of any ERP implementation is the acceptability by the end users, right? So to make them comfortable, to ensure that there is a smooth working of data capturing, then a lot of automations can be built. And in fact, we recommend interfaces with RFID, then QR code, NFC cards, and all kind of things to enhance the accuracy of the data capture. Because ultimately everyone knows that garbage in is garbage out. And if you make your ERP completely online, that is, there is no gap between the data generation and the data capturing, only then you can be sure of the data being reliable, right? So you can provide scoreboards which will be meaningful. It's an online thing, so all those kinds of let's say the data that is generated and the data that is displayed in the form of scoreboards and all that, they are live. So that live data capturing is a very important aspect, right? And because there's a lot of customization, the cost cannot be, I would say, restricted to a certain level, because ultimately it is everything about customization. The cost is only in the customization, right? A very simple example I have here. So you buy a ready-made t-shirt, typically, a business t-shirt and all that, typically the material cost, including stitching and everything, could be as low as maybe 250 to 300, a typical simple t-shirt, right, for business purposes. Whereas using the same material, if you go for a custom t-shirt, that the customization cost, that is the tailoring cost itself, can go as much as 5 times the cost of the entire t-shirt. So there is, if you want a very custom fit t-shirt, it could cost you as much as only the customization cost could as much as 1,000 rupees, right? So that is the basic difference as to why there is so much of variance in this. Moreover, so that is one thing, the data capturing. So there is automation, there is customization which is required for this manufacturing and all that. The other very important thing is handholding, right? How comfortable is your team? So you can't tell your team to just go for videos, understand, do it yourself kind of kits. So again, the complex team or the team in any complex manufacturing situation is not very comfortable in let's say learning from standard videos and all that. They need handholding, they need personal support, they need all these kind of things. The third very important aspect is of the reports. Now the reports have also to be customized based on the taste, right? So in fact, we really pride ourselves in claiming, when we take the order, we try to understand the business first, and based on the business and the appetite of the promoters as well as maybe the team, we give a flat, unconditional implementation cost. We don't do time and material. T&M is a very typical model followed in this. Now, why we do that is the customer can be really comfortable, and we give them a warranty kind of a thing of unlimited customization, unlimited development for the specific modules that they have selected for the whole year. So our implementation includes all that. We take a gamble, and based on the experience, we know that this set of management, right, would be requiring these many things, right? And this week, based on experience, we kind of before we start the process, we kind of gauge them, and only then we give them the code, right? So even in quoting, right, we cannot have a standard code. So when we have the first few interactions, right, we come to know the hunger of the management, what exactly are they looking for, what is the vision, and based on that we know how much would we like to, or would we be required to customize, create special reports, create dashboards, create scoreboards and all that, and based on them we give the costing. So we start, for a typical manufacturing firm, our implementation charges start at 15 lakhs. It can go for 15 lakh, 20 lakh, 25 lakhs, based on the complexity, of course, and the hunger and the vision of the management and the team. So that is why that there's a discrepancy in that. Of course, the users can decide. So, the other model also is very simple, go for plain vanilla. But our experience says that going for plain vanilla, that 2 to 3 lakhs kind of costing, implementation cost, that is very risky in terms of, the users can get frustrated and then they give up on the DRP. So things which is not comfortable, ultimately get discarded. So that is why we prefer to, lose a client or not pick up an order, rather than pick up an order and then lose the client. So that is a typical approach that we have.